That means Lord Grimthorpe, Teddy Grimthorpe, Teddy, our mate here on At the Races, is on the telephone right now. Good morning to you, Lord Grimthorpe.
Good morning, Matt.
I bet you enjoyed that.
I loved it.
I hope you recorded that. You'll be wanting to send that little package off to wherever the good prince is. Oh, right. That's funny, is it?
Well, I'm sure. No, the prince has all the races taped anyway.
Well, you professional organisation. But I mean, what a year it has been. I mean, I know Dancing Brave obviously must have been a fantastic year, but this must go close to being the best Abdullah year of all time, mustn't it?
Yes, I think it was certainly the best year in Europe. No question about that. Worldwide, it was just short of the sort of main mark of 18 Group 1 winners. We had 16, but it was an outstanding year.
It really was. Let's start off perhaps with the most fascinating of fillies, Special Duty, because of course, she didn't win a race, but then she won 2 classics. I mean, what a way to start in the StanJames.com 1,000 Guineas Newmarket. The drama, of course, you being so close to Henry winning it, getting disqualified, you getting the race. I mean, the drama started straight away at Newmarket.
It did really, and it was. I think at the time, just looking at it live, I thought, well, we've been beaten fair and square. But when I saw the head-on, I thought the stewards didn't have too difficult a decision to make. Really, I think she was driven right across the course, so and beaten only a nose. So I think that was a correct and fair decision. Obviously, as I said before, Paul Noel Martin, he's coped with a lot bigger setbacks than that in his life, but the way he handled it was really remarkable.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, under the rules, there was just no choice. It wasn't even 50-50 or 40-60. It was 99-1. There was absolutely no choice. And then in France, it was a little bit more complicated. But again, on both occasions, you could have argued if she hadn't been hampered, she might well have won.
Yeah, she didn't. She got hampered at the vital stage in the French Guineas. And again, it's bad luck for this time. It was not entirely affecting the winners. The winner wasn't doing the hampering, but it was unfortunate for them. But again, the rule we lost a French Guineas under similar circumstances. So those are the rules, and they're different from England.
And is she at stud now?
She's at stud in Kentucky now.
She's at stud in Kentucky now. Great. Well, we can't wait to see her offspring. And, of course, meanwhile, while that was all going on, we were all hoping for Workforce to make a seasonal debut after his 6-length romp at Goodwood as a 2-year-old. He came out at York and it all went a bit pear-shaped. Bit through the mouth, got stuffed by Cape Blanco. A bubble seemed to be burst, but he soon put that right at Epsom.
I think that sort of York, he'd had a sort of bit of an interrupted program, and originally we hoped he might get to the Guineas, and he wasn't quite ready. And then we thought, well, we might try the sort of Sandown Classic trial and go that route. But again, Michael just wanted to give him. I mean, because he's a big horse, and he just wanted to give him that bit of time. And so when he went to York to the Dante, he was still very much a sort of immature. Improving horse, but he certainly wasn't the finished article by any means, and things didn't go according to plan really, in terms of obviously the bit came through his mouth as Ryan tried to sort of pull him out a little bit. But I think the encouraging thing about that was that Ryan got off the horse and immediately said, "Do not be worried about this. He's going to be much better than that."
Right. So he gave him the green light straight away.
So that was it was his immediate reaction rather than a sort of considered reaction, which was really encouraging.
And at Epsom, I think he ran off a mark of 108 at Epsom, and then was rated up to about 128 for his victory. It was one of the most impressive Derby victories of all time.
It was really. They went a tremendous pace throughout, and he settled very well. And the good thing is he seemed to handle the track very well, came down the hill on the bridle, which is always important, especially in terms of handling the track, gives you that chance to do so. And then really crickened very well in the straight and kept on going, really.
And of course, while Workforce strutted his hoos at Epsom, Royal Ascot soon came up live on At the Races, and Byword beat Twice Over in the Prince of Wales' stakes to give Abdullah a 1-2 there. Twice Over then came out and banged in the Coral Eclipse from the front under a terrific front-running Tom Queally ride, and of course went on himself to win the Emirates Airline Champion Stakes. Byword and Twice Over, two in many ways unsung heroes of the team.
Yeah, we really. Twice Over, especially. I mean, he's an absolute favourite of Warren Place, and he's a favourite to Juddmonte. Really, he's done us so proud. I wish we had 10 more like him. Really, he's honest, genuine, and has got the class to win the top races.
Is he retired now, Twice Over? Or is he?
No, absolutely not.
No, he stays in training. What about Byword?
Byword stays in training. Andre's got him. He's pretty happy with him at the moment.
Brilliant. So Dubai for. I mean, we know Henry Cecil wants to win for whatever reason the Dubai World Cup.
Well, he wants to win it because it's one of the world's most valuable races, if not the world's most valuable race. So that's good enough incentive. Yes, he would head for the Dubai World Cup Twice Over, and Byword would go for the duty free.
Fantastic. They're both heading for Dubai in the new year.
Yeah.
That is great news. I mean, those are real class acts to be sending over there. And while all that was going on, the Wonder filly who we saw winning the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf in 2009, and of course narrowly defeated so annoyingly for all of us who were cheering her on this time around Midday. She didn't just bang in the Nassau, she banged in the Yorkshire Oaks and the Qatar-sponsored Prix Vermeil as well. Another terrific horse.
Yeah, I mean, she just progressed really tremendously well throughout the year. She again wasn't quite ready when she went to York and was trying to give Fariska £5 as well. And Henry gave her the time, and she came through. She won a second Nassau, sort of quickening twice, which was really the mark of a top class filly. And then she went to York for the Yorkshire Oaks, and again gave £10 to Snow Fairy and gave her a good drubbing. It was a pretty exciting performance, that really, especially on the way Snow Fairy's gone on since. And then actually she put up another remarkable performance in the Vermeil as well. So she had an exceptionally good year.
I'm right. She stays in training as well.
She stays in training as well. Yeah.
Wow. And I mean, is this? I mean, it's not a change of policy because the Prince has always kept good horses in training. But to have, I can't recollect a top owner keeping so many good Group 1 horses in training as, year after year. I know Goldakova's doing it in France, but can you remember a time when you've had so many coming back?
I think it's to be lucky enough to have these really good horses. The Prince Khalid, he loves his racing. With a lot of them, it just makes sense to go on, and certainly in terms of quality, we've probably never had this amount of good horses staying in training in Europe.
Take this the right way, please. I'll try and express it the right way. But as people get older, of course, time does run out. Is there almost a, do you think the Prince thinks to himself, well, I'm not going to be here in 50 years' time, time to enjoy these wonderful horses I've bred?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him that.
Well, I'm not sure. It's a question
I don't think so. I think that the Prince is very positive, and I mean each decision on each horse was really taken individually. So it wasn't a sort of collective thing saying we're going to have. Why don't we keep all these good? It's just worked out that way.
And just coming back to Workforce, people said after the King George we'd never see him race again. He hacked up in the Arc. Disappointing he didn't run in the Breeders' Cup Turf Lord Grimthorpe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think.
Did you run scared on the day?
I think there's sort of several sort of in factors which everyone was sort of kept well up to date with. One is obviously having had the setback at Ascot, we were very cautious about how to progress because nothing was found. We found nothing wrong with the horse. He was checked out extensively. So in the end, it probably came down to a sort of factor of three that probably accounted for his poor run at Ascot. That being maybe Michael said maybe he'd done a little bit too much work with him than he needed to. Maybe Ryan was a little bit too prominent on him, gave him, and maybe the ground was a little bit too fast for him. When you don't know, when there was nothing found physically wrong with him, then you have to look at the other factors, and so that's why we were cautious before we went to the Arc, and we wanted to make sure that he was happy before he got that green light, and indeed he was. But having got him to the States, the Breeders' Cup is a very important race and a very important part of the schedule of the horses of that caliber. But in the end, again, he's an important horse for us, and we felt we had one horse slip over and injure herself on the day before, not badly, and so that we just thought, well, how silly would we look with the horse going against what he would probably naturally want. So, and again, he's an important horse for us, and his sort of future and safety were paramount. So this decision was taken not to run him.
He's always looked like a sort of chunky horse from what I can make of him, i.e. a horse who looks as though he can only get better with age. We've always had this thought of sort of stout middle distance horses that improve as they go 3, 4, 5. How much do you feel that we may not have seen the best of him yet?
I think we have to be hopeful of him. I mean, in terms of his as an individual, he's a big, rangy, scopy horse, and generally they tend to improve. His pedigree says he can improve as a 4-year-old, and also his trainer is more than adept at bringing horses on, bringing older horses on, especially. I mean, he turned Harbinger from, I don't know what he was rated as a 3-year-old to what he was rated last year, but this year rather. But it was a pretty big jump.
Yeah, terrific. And I mean, have you any idea? I mean, I suspect you have, although you may not tell me because you're the kind of people who think about these things already. But I mean, I'm thinking Coronation Cup would be an obvious target early season in 2011. What are you up to? What are you thinking at the moment?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I haven't really sat down and talked with Michael on this, so nothing, or even Prince Khalid. But I think we have to see how he winters and see how he goes. The Coronation Cup would be a sort of a fairly obvious starting point.
Is there any race that you're after with him that you're thinking to yourself, I know you want the Arcs and the King Georges or whatever, but is there any race that you'd want, so to speak, you really want?
I mean, the ability, we want to try and make him what we believe. We believe him to be a very, very high class horse, and we want him to show that and do that over a range of top class races, and there are only so many of those sort of races around. So
what about top class distances? Are we thinking of? Am I getting a slight thought here that you're thinking we'd like him to win a Group 1 over a mile and a quarter?
Not necessarily. I think it's sort of people like to make those calls to say, well, actually he's won a Group 1 over a mile and a quarter, and if the right one came up and Michael was keen on it, it certainly wouldn't be discounted. But that having been said, I believe if we've established him at top class mile and a half horse, even if he won a mile and a quarter Group 1, how does that change? I mean, he's won. He was a smart 2-year-old on his only start. So if people want a little precocity, that's where you can sell it. But I think we must campaign him to the best of his ability.
Well, we can't wait for him. Of course, there's a horse we haven't mentioned yet. I imagine you're thinking I'm such a clown, I've forgotten all about him. But of course, the mighty Frankel, who could be even more exciting than any of the horses. I sort of arguably is currently more exciting than any of the horses we've talked about. We're looking at for me, what his most exciting performance was last season in the Royal Lodge at Ascot, where I just thought this was sensational. Just went whoosh round the bend, the speed round the bend. How is Frankel at this minute?
Frankel is great. He's relaxed. He's obviously in winter quarters. but he's
Teddy, just for those who don't know, and I don't know exactly, what does winter quarters mean? No, but what's he? Is he just
I shouldn't
stood in
have said that. No, I mean he's just. It means. I mean he's at Warren Place, and at this moment he won't be doing very much.
Does he go walking every morning?
He'll be trotting. He'll trot.
Right.
Trot. But outside the ground it'll be too firm. It's too icy for them to do anything anyway. He doesn't at this time of year. He wouldn't be doing it anyway.
So I imagine Henry just goes and cuddles him every day. You couldn't blame him. But and with various talks about, I think Henry sort of almost said he'd quite like to get a run in him before the Guineas. Is that a plan still, vaguely?
I would think so. Again, with these horses, we have to see how they winter, see how they do, and see how they progress in the spring before sort of outlining a definite immediate campaign. Obviously, his initial target will be the 2,000 guineas. Whether he has a race beforehand, I mean, I don't see. If Henry was pleased enough, I would think probably the Greener would be a possible target anyway.
Right. So head to Newbury, bang in the Greenham, take the Guineas, and then, of course, you realise you're going to go through all the workforce stuff again up to the Derby. Will he stay? How many of us are going to be querying that? His pedigree mixed, isn't it? On mile and a half, isn't it mixed? Or you?
Well, his Damn Kind was a sprinter. She was a 6 furlong horse. Obviously, Galileo won the Derby and has sired everything that you'd want him to sire practically. He's by Sadler's Wells. His half-brother, or 3 parts brother, Bullet Train, hard to say whether he stayed a mile and a half, probably not necessarily, I would say.
Mile 3.
I would say, I mean, he did win the Lingfield Derby trial, so, but staying a mile and a half at top class is another matter. The pedigree, obviously, he's got the stamina. There's more stamina in his second Dam, family of Powerscourt, again, who was a sort of mile and a quarter plus horse. So it is open. It is open to conjecture. There's no question about that. I think
from a Juddmonte point of view, does it make any difference whether he's a mile and a half champion or a mile champion? Would there be a preference?
I think ultimately, we were looking at him as a possible stallion to come back to Banstead. So I think again, he's a champion 2-year-old. So again, what he becomes thereafter is going to be a bonus, really, and we hope he will sort of turn into the horse that he looks like he could do.
Now, final quick question: Christmas coming up. We're all festive and happy and trying to do each other a good turn. Is there any other Abdullah horse that you're really excited about? That was no, come on, no, don't giggle like that, as if to say, as if I'm going to answer that.
No. I am the world's worst.
You are. I'm just remembering Bullet Train in the Derby. Actually,
yeah. Well,
last.
So I don't think that.
No, but there must have been another 2-year-old other than Frankel that really rocked your boat.
Well, Henry's very keen on Picture Editor.
Yeah. What happened to him when he got beat?
I don't know. Maybe he'd just gone for the season, and they'd just gone a little bit over the top. I don't know. He was very disappointing that his last start, but on what he's shown at home and what he'd shown prior to that on the racecourse, he might be a potentially very interesting horse.
Well, I mean, people, of course, are thinking Frankel for the Guineas, Picture Editor for the Derby, aren't they? That's how they're thinking.
Yeah, well, that you could say that, but again,
would you say that, Lord Grimthorpe?
I think that we have to be careful because, I have to be careful because I'm desperate trying to not mislead everyone.
Right.
And in what we're doing, and when at this stage, when those sort of firm plans have been outlined, I think it'd be unfair to say, this is. But I mean, Picture Editor is a possible Derby horse, but whether Frankel is or not, I think we'll have to do a bit of soul searching now.
Well, Teddy, look, I've kept you, as you know, far too long, but it's always fascinating with you, and it has been a very special year for the whole organisation. So I hope anyone who's got anything to do with Abdullah's workplace really appreciates the fact what a year you've had. Of course, Teddy, you're only as good as your last winner. You've got to do it all again now in 2011.
Yeah, very exciting.
No, well, it is, isn't it? I mean, do you pop and see Henry frequently at the moment?
Yeah, I saw him last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
What, are you watching Sports Personality together?
No, it was his lad's party.
Oh, right. So Henry Cecil wasn't watching sport. What did you make of McCoy as a flat man, of course? But you'll appreciate his skill.
I think it's rather like when a Scot wins a major race, he becomes a Brit, and I think that I think with sort of horse racing, the National Hunt lot now we're all horse racing,
yeah,
and we are, and I think it's thoroughly deserved. I mean, he's a remarkable sportsman and a great ambassador for the sport generally.
Yeah. Well, we've got Andy Murray, Greg Rosetsky, Kevin Peterson, and now McCoy, the best British men in the world. They are. We love them. Look, fantastic. Thanks, Teddy. Have a wonderful Christmas. Thank you for everything you've given to this show this year. It really
Congratulations on being Broadcaster of the Year. A mighty achievement.
I've already been told off once today already. Don't start. Thanks very much.
Good luck.
Cheers, Teddy. He's really good, isn't he? Teddy Grimthorpe. And when you look at all those horses, it is amazing. And they're all staying in training, bar Special Duty, who's having babies in Kentucky, lucky thing. They're all back for more. Thanks to Michael Barber.